Welcome again. We'll be starting with the class 9 geography chapter 5, that is natural vegetation and wildlife. We have already covered a kind of very brief under class 7 when we have talked about the various sections of India. Now we'll start with the basic flora and fauna of India and the uniqueness that India holds for those. So flora is a word that denotes plants or plant life, and fauna denotes the animal kingdom. Now of the 12 mega biodiversities of the world, India is one of those. Now let's talk about first the plants and then the animals. So India nearly is home to 47,000 plant species, which is 10th in the world and 4th in the Asia, with nearly 15,000 flowering plants, which accounts for 6% of the total world flowering plants. Then you have 89,000 animal species, 1200 bird species, which account for 13% of the total world species of birds, 2500 fish species, which account for 12% of the total population or the total percentage of the fishes. Now let's understand the difference between vegetation and natural vegetation. Now as you can see in this diagram, natural vegetation is a subset of vegetation. So natural vegetation is that vegetation which is untouched, there is no human aid. It grows naturally and it is also known as virgin vegetation. If we include fruits, orchards or cultivated crops, then it becomes the vegetation. So it's important that all these three are not part of natural vegetation. So natural vegetation includes only those plants and trees that grow naturally without any human aid or interference. So that's the basic difference between vegetation and natural vegetation. And whenever we try to understand the vegetation, we classify the vegetation based on the natural vegetation. Now, what are the factors that affect flora and fauna? So you have various factors like relief factors, which is land and soil. So if the terrain is rough, you have grasslands and woodlands that could be seen. For soil, if it's a kind of dry soil, arid soil, you have cactus. If it's a wet deltic soil, it is mangroves. Then under climate, you have three basic sections under which you study the flora and fauna, or which you account for. First is the temperature. So across the globe, as you can see, you have tropical, then subtropical and polar. It's if you go latitudinally. If you go altitudinally, that's height of a mountain, it would be tropical, subtropical and alpine on the topmost section. Then you have the highermost elevations. The photoperiod or the sunlight. So more the sunlight, faster is the growth. So in summers you have more growth of trees. Precipitation is the rainfall. So in India it's mainly accounted by the southwest monsoon. That's during the monsoonal months from July to September, and then you have the retreating monsoon, that's the retreating northeast monsoon that we have already talked in the previous class on climate, and this would lead to winter rainfalls in the coast of Tamil Nadu. So these are the two major causes for rainfall in India. Now what is the importance of forest? Forests definitely modify our climate. They act as carbon sink, they absorb carbon and give out oxygen. They lead to rainfall, they provide shelter to various wildlife around, they are a source of recreation. Since there is a plant, they would control the wind or the wind force that is acting on it. It provides livelihood to many people and dwellers nearby, supports the industries, it regulates the stream flow because the roots bind the soil, and then it also controls the soil erosion. Now as per 2015, India accounts for only 21.34% of the forest cover, and most of the land in India is degraded. Now this degradation is both due to human activity, that's the anthropogenic activity. So whenever we say anthropogenic, that means related to human beings. So anthropogenic activity is one of the major cause of forest depletion or forest degradation. Along with that, you have other natural causes which affect the natural calamities and the disaster that affect the forest area. Now if in India we see, as per the 2013 survey of the Forest Survey of India, you have kind of list that we have described here that gives a kind of demarcation between the top 3 states and the bottom 3 states in terms of the percentage forested area. So the top 3 states are Mizoram, Lakshadweep and Andaman Nicobar. with nearly more than 80% of area under forest cover. However, the bottom three states in terms of forest are Punjab, Haryana and UP, Punjab being the lowest at merely 3.52% and all these nearly around less than 6%. So you have the top three states which have the highest forest cover and the bottom three states which have the lowest forest cover. Now what are the types of vegetation that we can classify and we will be discussing today? So we can classify it based on the rainforest, the deciduous forest, thorn forest, montane forest and mangroves. Now all these three are governed directly by the rainfall. So as I say, if the rainfall decreases, the vegetation would change from rainforest to deciduous to thorn. Then you have montane forest on the mountains and mangroves near the tidal zone. So these are the basic characteristics. Now let's move on to these one by one. So in this map we have seen how there are rainforest here, then you have the mangroves here, you have the arid areas here, most of this is deciduous, and finally you have the mountain forest on the top. Now let's first talk about the tropical rainforest. They occur in a region of very heavy rainfall with more than 200 centimeters. Common areas are Western Ghats, Lakshadweep, Andaman Nicobar Islands, Upper Assam and Tamil Nadu coast. They have a kind of very short dry season. Trees reach up to a height of 60 meters. You have a kind of year-round warm and wet climate that could be seen here, and trees are arranged in layers. So you have one tree that provides shade to the next, and you have kind of lot of undergrowth that is seen. So it's a kind of multi-layered structure that is seen. Common trees are ebony, mahogany, rosewood, rubber and cinchona. Then you have elephants, monkeys, lemurs and rhino as the common animals or the fauna seen here. As we said, deciduous occurs in the region which has comparatively less rainfall as compared to rainforest. So rainfall is 70 to 200 centimeters. Now these, we also talked about these previously, they shed their leaves in one season. So you have a kind of season where you would see all the trees without leaves. So all the trees shed their leaves at a common season in summers for 6 to 8 weeks. However, under evergreen, you would have greenery throughout the year that could be seen in the forest. Now these tropical deciduous can further be classified into two, that's the moist and the dry. The moist includes a temperature of 100 to 200 centimeters. So the common areas are northeast state, Jharkhand, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, eastern slope of Western Ghats, and the trees that can be seen here are teak, babool, sal and shisham. Under dry climate you have the 70 to 100 centimeters of rainfall. It is mainly the peninsula, Bihar and UP area with teak, sal, peepal and neem as the common trees that could be seen here. The next is thorn forest. Thorn forest occur in the region of rainfall of less than 70 centimeters. Most of the Thar desert of Rajasthan, continuing up to parts of western Gujarat, parts of Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, UP and Haryana are affected by arid and semi-arid climatic conditions. The common trees that could be seen here are acacia, palm, cactus and euphorbia. They have kind of long roots. As we said, they have stems which are succulent, which can conserve water for kind of year round. They can use that water for throughout the year. Then you have leaves which are thick and small, and these leaves decrease the evaporation. Now as we said, there is modification of stem to leaf and leaf to thorn that could be seen in the thorn forest. So all these are a kind of modifications to conserve water. The common animals seen here are rat, mice, rabbit, fox and wolf. Now comes the mountain forest. These are wet temperate forests with rainfall of 100 to 1000 to 2000 at an elevation of 1000 to 2000 meters. Now when we classify mountain forest, we can classify those into 4 categories. The lowermost are the wet temperate. You have evergreen broadleaves, oak and chestnut are seen. Above it are conifers. The common conifers are pine, deodar, spur and cedar, commonly seen in South Himalayas and Northeast India. Above the temperate you have alpine, which is seen at a height of 3600 meters. Silver fir, juniper and pines are seen. As you go higher, then it converts into the kind of alpine grasslands. Common residents here are Bakarwals and Gujars. Then you have tundra, which is above the alpine, and the only vegetation is in the form of mosses and lichens that could be seen. Common animals here are Kashmiri stag, spotted deer and Tibetan antelope. In few pockets you have snow leopard and red panda, which is not seen throughout the mountain forest. They are seen in small pockets, and of these red panda and snow leopard are endangered. Then you have mangroves. As we said, they are occurring in the tidal regions. So the best area where you have the most popular mangroves is the Ganga Brahmaputra delta. Now you have the Sundari trees that are seen here. Besides these, the deltas of Krishna, Kaveri, Mahanadi and Ganga, all these form the deltas on the eastern coast, and all these deltas on the eastern coast are home to mangrove forest. Besides the Sundari tree that is seen in the Ganga Brahmaputra delta, that is very common there, other trees that are seen are coconut, agar, and then among the animals you have mainly Royal Bengal tigers seen in the Sundarban deltas, and besides that in the other deltas region you have snakes as one of the common animals that could be seen. Wildlife is the next topic that we come on to. Now in India, if we look across, you have certain animals which are specific to are endemic to certain regions. So you have lions in Gir forest, camels in Thar, you have wild ass in Kutch areas which is arid, rhinoceros in Assam and West Bengal, elephants in Assam, Karnataka and Kerala. So these are the major centers or major pockets for these animals. However, in other regions they could be seen as well. Tigers are seen mainly in Sundarbans, Madhya Pradesh and Himalaya. Now it's interesting to note, India is the only country that has both lion and tiger population. If we go on to the Himalayan belt, in the regions of Ladakh, you will see yak, wild ox, Tibetan antelope, Baral, that is blue sheep, and Kiang, that is Tibetan wild ass. Besides these, in pockets, as we previously mentioned, you will see snow leopards, red panda, ibex and bear. So these are the common animals that are seen in India. Now it's important to note why the animals are important. So some of the animals are act as milch animals, so they provide us milk, they are used for draught, transportation, meat and egg. Fishes provide nutritive foods. Then you have insects which have a role in pollination. So there are different kind of animals that survive and all have a kind of different role in the ecosystem. Now as per the 2012 red data list of IUCN, there are few species that are critically endangered in India. So it was declared nearly 132 species are critically endangered, and this is the further classification for those endangered species. 310 species were classified as endangered, less than kind of critically endangered. 2 plant species are nearly extinct, one of which is Euphorbia, and you have the species here which is found in Kerala. One of the species of leaf frog is now extinct. Salkar falcon is again an endangered species. There are 15 species of Indian birds which are critically endangered, some of which are the Great Indian Bustard, Siberian crane and the sociable lapwing. Now Great Indian Bustard, to conserve this or to protect these, you have one of the projects that has been launched, that is Project Great Indian Bustard. Besides, you have some other projects, that is Project Tiger and Project Rhino. Now there are various ways in which we conserve. You have establishment of national parks, wildlife sanctuaries and biosphere reserves. Focusing on biosphere reserve for this lecture, biosphere reserve has 3 zones. You have the core, buffer and transition. The core is the innermost zone which is free from human interference. The buffer zone is the region where you have kind of research activities and R&D activities that could be flourished. And finally you have the transition zone where human activity is allowed, and it's a kind of economic activity along with social activity that could be seen. Of the various biosphere reserves, India at present has 18 biosphere reserves. The oldest one is Nilgiris, which is spread into 3 states of Tamil Nadu, Karnataka and Kerala. Next to Nilgiris is Nanda Devi in Uttarakhand and Norek. Then you have by area, if we talk about, the largest amongst these is Great Run of Kutch, which is in terms of area, it was established in 2008. And if we talk about the biospheres which are newest, you have the Seshachelam Biosphere Reserve in Andhra Pradesh, which was established in 2010, and then you have the Panna Biosphere Reserve in Madhya Pradesh, again meant for the mainly for the tiger protection, and it was established in 2011. So these are the basic highlights for chapter 5. We will be covering chapter 6, that is the final chapter for NCERT class 9th in the next lesson. Then forward we will be covering chapter 10, and then we will move on to 11th and 12th, because there is a sequence that needs to be maintained to help better understanding of the higher concepts. So we will be covering those in the sequential order only. Have a good day ahead.